how tough it is to manage a CFS.
I took opportunities that came by my way. Yeah, had this thing of doing something with my father's business only. अरे ये तो बॉस की बेटी है.
We need to be more accepting of ourselves.
What is right for me might not be right for you. I mean, India is booming.
Hi everyone, welcome to yet another episode of She Moves Cabo. This is where we dwell into the super amazing women of our logistics industries who may necessarily be seen, be heard, but you still don't know them. We don't want to encroach on their privacy, but we do want to highlight that besides being the super women that they are at work, they also have another private side to them, their real side, their genuine side, which often gets neglected or is ignored because of the position that they hold or the decisions that they take or the persona that they carry when they enter a room. I'm absolutely delighted today to introduce my speaker for today's session, and that is Kruti Jobarputra. Kruti, welcome to She Moves Cargo. It's an absolute delight and an honor to have you here.
Thank you.
When we were looking and we were deciding on the women that we wanted to interview, I was very clear that we had to have you on board because somewhere down the line I feel that, like me, there's people only see one side of you because of the position that you have, the decisions that you have to take, the job, the industry, this segment that you are in, the logistics industry. I thought that there would be nothing more appropriate than to have you and to discuss a little bit more about you and a little glimpse into that genius mind of yours and how it means to be Kruti Jovan Putra every single day, and maybe for the next 20-25 minutes walk wearing your shoes to understand how tough it is. And it's not a privilege or an entitlement because you are Lalit Uncle's daughter, because a lot of people would feel, about our industry like that. So, for everybody, Kruti is the first woman in the CFS industry. The CFS is the heart. When we have the port, we have to have a CFS. I'm not going to get into the depth about the CFS. You all can Google it for those of you who are joining in for the first time and don't know anything about logistics. But this is where we are going to talk about what it means to run a CFS. But besides that, she has different things. We are going to we're going to explore Kruti, the Masi, the Fai, the daughter, more importantly, the human being Kruti that she is. And we are going to deep dive into what makes Kruti tick and what makes her who she is. So, Kruti,
Yeah, thanks, Chitali, for having me over. And of course, it's always a pleasure meeting you always. And loads to catch up always.
Yes, absolutely.
So, yeah, thank you. Nice to be here.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to start off first. I have to ask you this. Did you ever think that at one point, yes, maybe getting into the family business would be there, but did you ever think at one point that you would have CFSs and that you would be doing the kind of work that you're doing?
No, not at all. So, in fact, I was doing my BMS, that's Bachelor of Management Studies, and I had to do my final year project. So, at that time, my father was more into freight forwarding and clearing agent. There was no CFS whatsoever at that time. And my dad was a part of Asian Heart Hospital.
Yes.
So, I was sitting with dad and I did not know my final year project I should do on which topic. So then I met Dr. Ramakant Panda in a casual meeting. We had a get together and we just met and just happened to talk about my project. And he said, "Oh, why don't you do it on the hospital? Because I want you to join the hospital. Because there's no way that you're joining your dad's company." This is what he tells me. So I was like, "Hey, again, already you're confused at that stage in your life that as to what you want to do." Sure. And this made me more confused. Yeah. Okay, at one point of time during my junior college, I used to go to dad's office to see what is happening, and we had those, typewriters that time. So it was a fascination to see how the tuck happens,
Correct.
So I learned that also, in fact, how to make the ever bill, using the typewriter because, okay, for time pass, of course, make a final reveal, but those girls sitting over there would, actually teach you as to, how it's done and what is done, where you fill what. So that was actually the first time I actually got to know about cargo. So then, him in dilemma, I said, okay, I start with dad. I said, what do I do? So dad said, no, I mean, Dr. Panda is saying that, hospital is a good option. So why don't you explore that option? So I did my 1 year project on Asian Heart, HR and PR in a hospital. And I did my little research. I went, had interviews with the staff over there. And so I made my final project and I was happy because I was the there were 2 people who got outstanding result in the project and I was one of them.
That's nice.
So I was happy about it. So again, the BMS got over. Then I said, okay, now what to do, So then during the process of making a project, I realized that hospital is not my cup of tea. Because, I thought that first of all, not having a science background because I hate science. I left science in my school itself. I had an option of taking economics, so I left science. ICSE. So 9th standard, I had an option of leaving science. So I said, "Bhai, science छोड़ो, science नहीं कर सकते, economics लो." So I had an option of economics, so I left science. So मतलब दूर तक no relation with science. So I told dad that I don't think hospital is going to work for me because first of all, I'll be like one of the employees, and I don't think I am built for that. So dad said, okay, so what are you going to do? So dad said, ठीक है. I mean, at that time, he had already bought the plot for the CFS because he had that vision to start it. So I said, no, I will join your company only because, going a little back, my mother is also part of her father's business.
Correct.
So, having that tradition of joining father's business is always there.
Of course.
Already there.
Of course.
So my father goes, oh, you join your mother's. I said, no, I join your company, not my mother's company. So he said, fine, okay. So what was on was the freight forwarding division, air cargo was there. So I said, no problem, I will join that to understand what it is, what it is not. And in the meantime, the construction of the CFS started. So I did for a year into air cargo as to what it is, how booking is done, everything. So learned everything about the air cargo in that 1 year. And in the meantime, the construction was somewhat getting over for the CFS, for the first phase of the CFS. So I told one fine day, told my dad that I want to join the CFS. Didn't know anything about it, didn't know what the full form of CFS also. So I said, I want to join the CFS. So dad started laughing. Mom was like, no ways. Because we were staying in Juhu. And going from Juhu to Panvel every day is a task.
Of course.
So dad said, see, I'm okay with it, but if you only dedicated towards it.
Agree.
So mom is saying, no, chokri, and you're a girl, and how can you just go to Panvel every day? I said, I have a driver. I'm not going to drive. I have a driver. That much liberty my father has given. Yeah, I have a driver. So in college, I did not have a car. I had to go by bus and train. But office, I had that liberty of taking a car and a driver. So I said, I have a car and driver, so I can go. So my mother was adamant, no means no. And my father was like, I'm okay, you can. But one thing, in office, you're not my daughter. So remember that. I said, okay. So my father tell my mother that, listen, let her go for 6 months. She herself will say no. Either she'll be this side or this side.
Correct.
So my mother somehow agreed. Okay, fine, go. So I was dedicated towards it. So every morning I would leave home by 9. I would be in Panvel by 11 because that time it took more than 2 hours to reach Panvel from Juhu because of our beautiful roads that we have. So I went and then there was no stopping. It's been almost 18, 19 years now.
It's no looking back.
No looking back.
I know we had this conversation about me and I completely blame my father. Okay, I don't think till the day I died would happen. He insisted I should take accounts. We had a choice. I suck at math and TY BCom. Everybody went into distinction and I am a rank holder. So for me to get a second class, it hurt. And I had just come back from America and he didn't have the guts to tell me that I got a second class. And really such bad marks, Kruti, law college would also not give me admission. At MBA, to forget, it was like out of the thing. And the whole purpose in my life, honestly, I was not even ambitious. So my whole purpose in life was to get married and have children, the typical Gujarati has. The only thing I knew was that I was going to travel because since I was 3 years old, I have been wanting to travel. So, like you said, you went by bus and train. I used to go by bus to college, and I remember telling my dad, "Listen, I'm not going to Podar and Ria. I am going to Tal for college." And he's like, "No, no, how can you go to college?" I said, "But mom went to Jai Hind." So my mom's like, and we've done everything because of my mother, like cycling and swimming and dirt. My father, not because of him. So my mother. So I'm like, but what? I can't be here. I can't have like, see two generation kids do the same thing, sit on the katta. You don't know how it is. You don't know this. I said, but we will learn, right? If mom could go. And then because of my mom, I went to HR. So yeah, I understand.
But you're excellent. I mean, I have always been an average student all my life.
No,
If I tell you from my 10th standard to my graduation, I've already got a 70%. So you could imagine getting a position in HR is impossible for me.
So, I had a choice between Signum and HR. And even though we are on air, I should say this, they asked me, where do you want to go? I said, whichever college lets me walk in with my percentage, I am going there. I said, there is no influence or anything of that sort. So, and Sidlam and Nathan was more smoothier than HR was. I went, HR said, come because I had 80%. So I could walk in over there. I was like, okay, done. This is it. This is what it's going to be. And Dad's like, karse su, thase su. And I remember telling him, wait, because I'm going early to college because I'm meeting a guy in the library. He was going to show me some notes. And the tantrum in his phone saying, do you know what it means to go to the library? I'm like, listen, chill out. It's like in a huge library with full grown people. But yeah, I know totally. And then the same conversation when we had about, because I was sulking and they asked me to come, my parents had no clue. So whether I would stick around or not. And I know deep down in their heart, they must have thought, "Be mahina ma, 3 mahina ma, chokri chodi dese," kind of a thing. So I completely understand that. Haru said that. What was your aspiration? Actually, wanted you? I mean, I know we all have this thing where we don't know what we want to do, and I know I did. So the work never figured. Money, though, I thought would just come automatically, which I think, the day I realized the power of money is the day I did the most unhappiest. When you were growing up, what were your dreams and aspirations? So, what was the Kruti at that time, and how much had you to sacrifice that Kruti to become the Kruti here at the at JW, in the in charge of the JWR group companies in order to do what you are doing?
To be honest with you, not sacrificed. I don't feel I've sacrificed
That's nice.
because I think I took opportunities that came by my way. Yeah, like you earlier said, there are good days and bad days always. But I think ever since I was growing up, I had this thing of doing something with my father's business only.
Oh, lovely.
So I had that dream, you would say, or aim, you would say, that I wanted to be a part of his business. So that was very clear from day one. And I knew I'm not cut out to, work as an employee anywhere. So even during my graduation times, we had, these college placements and things.
Internships.
So I always took a part in it. I said, I should know value, no? Ki whether if I apply in this job somewhere, will I get a job or no? So I had applied and I got also.
That's nice.
And then I went up to my father, see, they're ready to take me as an intern. But of course, my father never allowed me. I mean, even when I did my MBA, I wanted to do MBA in SPGen, but the global program,
Okay.
wherein they have Australia, Dubai, and Singapore.
Correct.
But he was
No.
being Gujarati, conservative father. Okay, no, that J Karu, you do here, knowing out of my sight. So I did MBA of FPGen only, but the family MBA. So which was good in a way because when I joined the CFS, again knew zero about cargo.
Agreed.
I mean, just air cargo, whatever I learned, I knew, but otherwise CFS, what it is, procedures, custom rules, nothing I knew. So it was good in a way that I was doing my MBA as well as I joined the company. So knowing what is the cargo, knowing what is customs, and knowing the people, knowing the kind of operations, got to learn side by side in my MBA. So that also helped me a lot because we had a lot of projects which we had to imply in the company and then make a report on that.
Oh,
As to
nice.
in your company, what
Correct.
is the effect of this
Barabar.
policy or this system.
Correct.
So it helped me in a great way.
That's so nice.
But I took a good 2-3 years to learn actually on the ground, because I used to, my father told me, not get a cabin or anything.
Of course.
You are joining, you're a training, so you need to sit on one of the chairs and learn what it is, you know.
Absolutely.
So it was an amazing journey that I've had, and I again, like I said, I don't sacrifice in terms of. Maybe I would say that okay. Some people can say that I did not waste time going around with friends or going around with maybe boyfriends and spending those
Yes.
golden years.
Yes.
Some people might say that, but I don't regret it.
I regret a lot of stuff, but I don't regret this because by the time I was 30, I already had a lot of things under my bed. So while my friends were figuring out at 25 or 26 what they wanted to do, I started working when I was 20, straight out of my results came, and then I think October I started working. And so by the time they figured out what they were doing and all, I was already
And the
working.
platform.
The platform was there, but we had to work and
Obviously.
and work really hard. So for me, my chair was a bar stool, which I still have in my office as a reminder that 12 hours sitting like this with a bar stool with no legs to spread out and things like that. And the same thing with Harish Bhai. I'm not your father in the office. So now when it comes to work, it's so difficult to just call him dad. It automatically just comes out as Harish Bhai. But I totally, I really like the fact that you were very clear on that you wanted to find out your value. Like when I would have my arguments with Harish Bhai, listen, you're paying me peanuts because he did free labor with me for 3 years. Till people stepped in and
5 years.
5 years for you,
5 years.
3 years for me, and then he started off like a chindi Sunday, 3,500, and I was made to feel, you are getting a salary. So when I would tell him, listen, I deserve a little more, and he's like, can you go find out your worth? And I would get so offended, that to go find out my worth. But it's so refreshing to know that you would want to do. I did internship, so I did it at President Hotel, and I almost lost my finger. So I remember him calling up and saying, "Madam, Chaitan, she works. She's cut her finger yesterday, so we are not sending her to work." And I thought, okay, that's a privilege. Others don't have that privilege of doing it because I almost lost my finger in the fan. So it just kind of happened. But I understand where you are coming from, and it's so nice. That's why I think you forum, I would like to call them the white collar people, and I call myself the blue collar because I genuinely at times think I'm just better off maybe leading, but not onto the management side, but onto the other side, but still taking the decisions. Like people say, Chata, you can't be number two. I said, but have you even given an opportunity to be number two? You're just not meant to be number two. I said, okay, we will just keep it as that. I'm going to be number one. And it's very, very, I think, humble of you when you say that you won't be able to work at somebody's place, because with some people it sounds very condescending. When it sounds just so natural. Like, I can just, like when Adya says, I can't do this. This is not me. Fine. It's just so clear about the whole thing. I have to come. Work-life balance is terrible.
Yes.
It is. And and I don't regret the time that I have spent. And I think we pretty much had the same kind of journey and all. But, when I turned 40, I realized that I hadn't taken a holiday in a very. So the first time I took a holiday was 18 years after joining eCare. How do you manage your work-life balance? Like the only time I took one holiday for 36 days was when I started crying, and that was my first and last holiday. If I managed to take 10 days off, then I'm very grateful. So how does it work for you?
I think the first 5 years had been more challenging for me because the simple thing is that, see, like even you, अरे ये तो boss की बेटी है. So with that attitude, coming out of that attitude, showing them that actually you are here to talk serious business.
Yes.
Maybe not lead the company immediately, but in the future, yes.
Agreed.
So breaking that stereotype of boss की बेटी है कि भाई ये टाइम पास करने आई है.
Agreed.
Again, what another challenge that happened in me was the family business managing program that I did in SP Jain. We were 100 of us in a batch. 100, 120. Out of 100, 120, we were only 9 girls. So again, in the college also, there was similar attitude where 50% of the boys felt that कि भाई she's only coming for an MBA degree.
Correct.
You know?
Because you're not going to do anything.
Exactly. And some girls are like that. I won't say it's not the concept.
But I would also say some boys are also like
Yeah,
that.
100%, 100%. But it's more like, you know, it's a label given to the girls more than the guys.
Yes.
Guys अगर कुछ नहीं करता है तो भी वो
Correct.
ठीक है. Let's not get into it.
But yes.
So yeah, so the first 5 years was challenging. Yes, I had days wherein I came home and I told my mother I can't do it
Correct.
because of the way people would behave.
Right.
It was more because of the attitude of people around, more than anything else. It was not something that the work was to rocket science, which I couldn't understand. It was not something related to work. It was of the attitude and the environment in which you are.
Correct.
But yeah, I mean, those 5 years, 6 years, I would say, was a struggle till I knew how the game is played.
Exactly.
You know. So yeah, and by the time I finished 5 6 years, then my brother joined in, and then of course we had expansion mode going on.
Yes.
So I think that's when I started taking time off.
Yes.
My sister got married, so again my mother's rule that oh now I want you home more because one daughter is gone, I need my other daughter in the house, you know. Otherwise, earlier that daughter was there, तो ठीक है तेरा value नहीं है इतना. अभी one daughter is gone, so अभी now you are no value. So yeah, so I started taking Saturdays off.
Nice.
Of course, my father was not very happy about it. Still not very happy about it because he's the one who goes to office on Saturday. I don't go on Saturday.
Great.
So, but yeah, I mean, I'm managing ever since then. By not working on Saturdays. On going to the office, I am at home, I'm on the phone, I'm available 24/7. Yeah, so I think to create a balance in life, my mother has been a key part because she always insisted that she took me wherever she had to go. So that was like a break for me, even if it was for 2 days, 3 days. Like my Nana was there at that time, so he would stay a lot in Rajkot. So going for 2 days just to see him. So my mother was the key. Like my mother's very religious that way, so she'll want to go to this place for darshan and that place for darshan. So that was my kind of outing, So that is what I said. And plus, as a family, we run an old age home, we run a temple.
Oh, nice.
So we have events all around the year.
Correct.
So being a part of those events, helping mom for those events, also was something like a break.
Of course.
And kind of creating a work balance
Yes,
for my
absolutely.
self.
100%.
Of course, you have friends around,
course.
but like you said, most of the friends at that point were all figuring out their own careers.
True. And
You know.
people don't really want to know your sob story. They would have a happy meet you.
No, I would put it this way that everyone has a sob story.
Yes.
So why meet and talk about it? Talk about something which will refresh everyone.
Correct.
So if you and I are friends and we are meeting, why cry about something that is going wrong in both our lives? Let's talk something brighter to.
That's another perspective.
Yeah, I mean,
somebody else also told me. I was talking to my best friend in America, and she goes like, "Chathali, she was talking about somebody else, and she was like, oh, we just meet, and why do we want to listen to everybody's problems? But we all have problems." At that time, I was a little stunned because, being friends means that you're going to share your stories. But now hearing you also say, it gives a different perspective as to how it is.
You see, friends are meant to, you went out. Okay.
Yes.
But, then don't stretch it.
Yes.
So most of my friends know this, that okay, if you have problems, Kruti is always there to hear.
Correct.
If Kruti has a problem, she knows we are there for her.
Of course.
But then you talk about it for a minute and you finish it.
Correct.
Don't stretch it because stretching it has no advantage. In fact, I believe that it creates more negativity.
Yeah.
So why create the negativity,
Correct.
There's negativity all around the world.
Yes, absolutely. I
So-
think more than what we require. But it's so I actually now I have so much rage inside me because I always I was going to have an arranged marriage, and at that time when we were looking at boys from me, it didn't matter that they were industrialists or they lived in bungalows or whatever. All of them had this one thing that you have to give up work, and I was like, just because I haven't done an MBA, I still slogged, right? 15, 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. I said, why will I give it up? I can do both because my mother, from the time I was 13 or 14, had grilled in. Chaitali, baddu chalse. But if you don't know how to manage a kitchen and you don't know how to do, we lived in a joint family. My mother runs the house the way my grandmother used to work. So you can imagine 50 years how it is kind of a thing. And she's like, if you don't know how to run a kitchen and you don't know how to take care with, work with your servants and all, you're not going to be a successful person. She always said, president has said, kai farak nahi pade, kitchen nahi aade po. And then you have these guys telling me that you have to give up work. I said, why would I give up work? Because I can take care of both house and the office and I can be there. And now when I'm actually a primary caregiver for my mother, like we've spoken about it, it just feels like, I have been cheated. And it's because I'm still doing the same stuff that I said I was going to do. And then like for the longest, the biggest betrayals come from office, like fitting in. Like my biggest betrayal came from people inside, not even from outside. And the amount of papad bellowing that I had to do to get their respect only because I was Harish Mehta's daughter. And I never really thought about it, that how difficult is it? I mean, we are just human beings, right? So if you come and you're going to work, eventually somebody has to succeed, right? So if you are wanting to come into the industry, you will naturally be a successor. But if you're not coming in, then we have professionals who are running organizations. It's the same way because at the end of the day, we all run it professionally. So the first time I lost my head at somebody in my entire life was in this office.
Yeah.
Because I remember this one guy smirking at me and I just kind of snapped. And I still remember getting furious because I would have internal dialogues in my head. And I'm like, shit, man, now there is no stopping because, when you lose it, and there's only that much bullshit that you can listen to and you can tolerate. And I think people don't understand how difficult it is. And when we have these panel discussions and all, and we're talking family prints, I always tell people that don't gloss over the fact how difficult it has been for us to fit into the business. So I'm so glad that you are openly talking about it because I think working in family business is probably the toughest because if you're a professional, you can leave 10 jobs and still have an 11th job lined up for you.
No, I think more than that, see, it's more difficult to fit in the family business. Why? Like I said, that your environment in which you work, okay, you are coming with a different mindset. The people in your company are working in a different mindset.
True.
So if you're a professional mind in the company, they look at you in a different way.
Correct.
While you're a boss's daughter, they look at you in a different way. So again, like you said, for me, I took a lot of time again to understand, to get a grasp about what this entire business is,
Yeah.
and to think as to what next. So I think in this entire journey, I took almost 4 years, 5 years for my colleagues in my office to actually accept me for who I am. And that really happened. I mean, there was an incident that took place, wherein we had local, everyone aware about local issues that can happen
Yes.
in places like Nhava Sheva and Panvel. So we had this entire mob of 50, 60 people come in, and my father was not in the town. And the professionals, so-called professionals, my teammates, sorry, I would say this, but they get panicked.
Yes.
So at that time, me stepping in
Yes.
and me doing charge,
Yeah.
okay, is what created different aura
Yes.
amongst them.
Correct.
Ki, okay, she's got metal.
Correct.
Otherwise till then, they
Yes.
thought, ki, Arey, she's coming, she's sitting, she's seeing, she's asking you questions in a day, and that's the end of the story.
Correct.
So after that, the attitude of people,
Yeah.
from the senior most guy in my company to the junior most guy in my company, the attitude changed.
I'm sure
So-
people must not have realized how much it must have taken for you to stand in front of that wall
Exactly.
and tell them off.
And another worst thing, I am a Gujarati,
Right.
studied in Jamnabai, which didn't have Marathi compulsory.
Correct.
In Panvel, talking only in Gauti Marathi.
Correct.
So
Yes.
not knowing Marathi, still communicating to the mob
Yes.
and controlling the mob and
Right.
seeing that the mob is dispersing
Yes.
without causing any much trouble to the company.
Correct.
So that was like a challenge, which of course I overcome, and it changed everything. It not only created more self-confidence inside of me, but amongst the entire group.
It's very important. Like I actually had to wash my own vessels in the office and not have my peons wash my lunch car vessels for them to think. I still know the dialogues that they told me at that time. And I was like, really? Is this because I have been washing vessels at my house since I was 13 years old? So this is like nothing. I mean, it's just part and parcel of how it is. But it's so people still ask me, oh, you speak Marathi very well. And I'm like, you live in Bombay. I mean, no offense to you or anybody else who does not. But at that time when I came, everybody was Maharashtrian officers. How do I get the people in my office to
Yeah, so no choice. I also had to learn Marathi.
yeah.
I learned Marathi.
So it was so difficult to do it. And then, of course, I used to write. My mother was doing a side business at that time for Paitri saris. So her letters I used to write in Marathi and things like that. But today, it just comes automatically. And of course, being multilingual is very important. But I completely understand that, and hats off, because I think the first time I faced fire was when I was in Delhi and we were working for LG, and we had a partner there and he didn't tell me the truth of what was happening. And I just went, ke chalo client ne malu che, je ye kariye. And when I had 5 of them there bombarding me saying, this is not happening, this is not happening. And I'm not aware of anything. That's my first time there, first time doing imports. And I said, I'm sorry, but I will take care of it. And that guy was one of the toughest guys. And he said, आप आ रहे हो आपको कुछ मालूम नहीं है. I said, Sapra ji, I am sorry. God bless his soul, he died in COVID. I said, Sapra ji, I am sorry, but नहीं मालूम है. मैं सीख लूंगी. It's my first time. थोड़ा का break दे दो. You know how it has to be. And then I learned so much from him. So much from it. So I completely resonate with how it is. I have to ask how tough it is to manage a CFS with all kinds of problems that you get, all kinds of issues. When you look at expansion plans, I don't need the nitty gritties and all, but what are the thought processes that go on? And are you the thinker in the family, or is Raj the one who looks into the expansion and all? So there are multiple questions in this. One is that how does it work? And the second is that how have you guys divided your job roles? So is there overlapping or things like that? Because siblings, no family.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I would say that we as a group, now it's JW Ventures.
Yes.
So JW Ventures has grown slowly, and like I told you, when I joined the business, joined the CFS. So JWC is what I joined to take over, and then of course JWR came, and
Yes.
JWL cold storage came. So it came slowly, steadily. Dad, I think, is the visionary. And yeah, we have our group meetings. We have the 3 of us sit together and we do a lot of brainstorming. We do a lot of arguments also, I would say, because obviously we all always can't be on the same page. But yeah, I mean, we've grown gradually. We've understood what are the bottlenecks that get created in logistics, and our aim is very simple as to how we can help a customer clear his bottleneck. What more can we offer as a group, which can become like a one-stop solution to a customer? So today, any forwarder, any clearing agent, any importer, any exporter coming in, from the time his cargo is coming as import or export, plus he wants to do bonding, he wants custom bonding, he wants to do warehousing, he wants to do cold storage, he wants to do transportation pan India, is everything that we are getting into. Apart from Mumbai, we've expanded to Delhi now, we've expanded to Bangalore, we've expanded to Chennai.
Oh, lovely.
Of course, not in the space of CFS, in the space of logistics hub. So, we've created an ambient warehouse, created a temperature controlled warehouse at all these various locations, having a entire transport fleet to move regular cargo as well as ambient cargo. So creating a lot of value addition is what our motto is for the 3 of us. Dad, of course, has been a visionary. Then, of course, we have opportunities coming our way when it comes to growing in different spaces. So, which opportunity to take and which not to take.
Correct.
It's very difficult sometimes to make a no also as a decision.
Correct.
So, as a family, yes, 3 of us are completely involved into it.
Do you take baggage home?
We do take baggage at home because obviously we stay in the same house. So it's very obvious that baggage is going to come, and that's one of the reasons why, as a policy, Dad had decided that none of the spouses would enter the business.
Which I think makes sense.
Yeah. So I mean, my brother's got a wife who's also MBA. but never even thought of bringing her into the business. And of course, I'm not married still. But even my sister's husband, my sister not a part of the business. She chose to be a teacher, but not that anything stops her from entering, but not her spouse. So that was one reason why, because taking that baggage home as a couple is more challenging towards your personal relationship. So yeah, we do have days when we take baggage at home. We do have arguments at home because sometimes it's not right to argue in office in front of your colleagues. But yeah, we do. But then we know that at the end of it, we're working towards one motive. And in terms of dividing, we have not divided the business as such between us. If we talk about Raj and me, it's more on the customer base. We would work for the entire group as one. And touchwood, we've been lucky enough that one of the two have been in touch with 99% of the customers. So in our company, we don't have a marketing team.
Correct.
So we believe that something that you market, you should be able to produce. You should be able to achieve. And it is very natural that sometimes marketing team over commits to things while operation not able to commit to it. So we have our operation guys do the marketing if required, because then we know what they're going to deliver.
Correct.
So similarly, Raj and I have been operation guys in our initial years of our career, and that is why we know in and out as to what you can achieve and what you can't.
Succeed if you don't know operation.
Precisely. So yeah, so we do our marketing, and it's just divided among the customers. So the customer sets that I have, if I think that Raj needs to also be a part of it, he's a part of it, and vice versa. Otherwise, I'm managing that customer, even if whether he wants to use a cold storage, whether he wants to use the CFS, whether he wants to, go to
the face of the company, because people don't talk about Raj as much as they talk about GC. Maybe it's a deliberate thing. But having said that, do you guys have each other's back, especially when it comes to, having a united front with Ankur? So like Forum and I have an unwritten policy. It doesn't matter who's right. But in front of Harish Bhai, it's always a united front, like you are wrong.
Most of the times we are united. Most of the time, I would say, I think 90% of the times we are united. Only there's something wherein I feel that Raj is not right. Or if he feels I am not right, then we always have that thing that we both discuss amongst each other. If we feel that we are not coming to a conclusion, then we have the person who has the veto power.
Correct.
So yeah, I mean, most of the time, I would say 90% of the time, we are always united when it comes to presenting anything to boss.
Yes.
And we all like you, we don't call him dad most of the time. We call him big boss or boss, in the office.
Right.
So anything boss has to approve it, So
like it's a very clear cut. I mean, I guess leaking out secrets, but dad sees this. But it's very clear that and I get a lot of yellings, and he's made me cry a lot. He still makes me cry sometimes, not that much now. But it's very clear that even if it is my mistake on the face of it, Forum will never tell him that, it's Didi's mistake. It's always going to be, but she has another side. So I mean, it's always been that kind of a thing that with if it's against him or Kaka with him, then it's 2 against 1 kind of a thing. Internally, we may do whatever we need to do.
No, it's quite similar with us also. It's quite similar with us.
But, this is another thing that I don't like, because people never talk about the baggage that they take home. So initially they would say, oh, you should just join whatever business or take this guy and bring him into your business. I said, why would I do that? The fastest way for a divorce is for the husband and wife to show their work side, because that is not what you want to do. You wear a different persona, you wear a different face, a different mask when you are at work. And unfortunately for us, because we are women, we can't let them know that we have, that it affects us that much, or it does. I must have broken down after a very long time in front of one of my staff a couple of months ago, when he really messed up and he heard me get insulted with one of our clients. And I thought that was atrocious, because the mistake was trusting that person and not doing it. And I was so furious. I just didn't know what I was going to do. Do you have those kind of days where you also have to stand in? Because I hate those days when I have to be a leader, when all I want to do is, yell and say, it's not my fault, it's not my company's fault.
I think Chaitali, it comes as a part and package of joining the family business. Because, with all due respect to all our colleagues in the office, at the end of it, it's kind of your baby.
Yes.
You've decided to join it,
Yes.
and your father was doing the same shit,
Yes.
and you have to do the same shit.
Yes.
So whether it's the fault, your fault, or even any junior guy's
Correct.
fault, the blame has to be, you have to take the blunt.
Correct.
So yeah, I mean, I've had bad days many times.
Yeah.
Wherein I have blown out also in the wrong way.
Yes.
But I mean, I take it that way that okay, I also, like, you have a lot of introspective
Yes.
thoughts and discussions that I have with myself and also with my father and my brother, as to I could have reacted in a
Yes.
better way.
Yes.
I could have done this differently.
Yes.
But then what is done is done.
Correct.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, even like you
Of
said,
course.
at the end of it, every day cannot be a day when you are so strong.
True.
There are days when you break down. There are days when you blurt out in a wrong
Yes,
way.
Of course.
Maybe you're a customer made with your own staff.
Of course.
So yeah, I mean, I've had similar days wherein my people have screwed up in a wrong way, and I have nothing but to say sorry in front of the client.
Correct.
Or lost our account.
Yes.
To be worst, and commercial tour is a separate part only from it. But yeah, we've had such incidences. Of course, at that time you feel very bad.
Yes.
You feel disheartened, especially when your father then gives you his side of his
Yes.
things to you. And you start feeling, have I made the wrong decision in my life?
Oh yes.
So you have those days wherein you are like completely lost.
Yes.
But I think it's a part of the game, and I think everyone in our fathers have faced that in a much worse way, I would say.
Yes.
But I mean, everyone has to face it.
So,
So,
you ever thought of quitting on those really bad days when everything seems to go wrong?
I always I'm a little type of self motivator. So because see, over the years this is what I have learned.
Yes.
So initial days, yes, of course, many days, like I said, I've gone up to my mother, I've gone up to my father, said, "Ke, I can't take it. I can't take it. I don't think I fit in. But now I guess over the last 10 years, I've
Yeah.
learned this process of motivating myself.
That's nice.
Because something I feel, that even if your loved ones are there around, your family, your friends, sometimes a lot of times, self-motivation
Yes.
is very important.
Agreed.
Because no one can motivate you the way you can motivate
Agreed.
yourself.
Totally.
Because people are sitting to break you down.
Yes.
To be honest.
Of course.
People are sitting to break you down. People are sitting, यार छोड़ देना, छोड़ दे. People never say कि क्यों छोड़ना है?
Correct.
क्यों छोड़ना है?
Agreed.
Out of like we have that, you can't get a 10 on 10 every time,
True.
But people don't see that you got 8 on 10, you got the 8.
Correct.
Only 2 times you screwed up.
But
People don't see that.
no, it's going to
People
be
only see that, "Arey, he
multiple
screwed up 2 times,
Agreed.
So that is why I think that even the motivator says that 8 times I was correct, 8 times I was on the dot, 8 times I have achieved things.
True.
So then why let go for the 2 things that didn't go well,
Correct.
So I a little bit of self motivator. So whenever I would get any kind of these thoughts, I would always motivate myself that I can do it. Why I can't do? So I always had that question to myself that is it that I can't do?
Correct.
Okay, you screwed up. But is it that you can't change? Is it that you can't do something better than this?
True.
So I've always believed in that.
That's very nice. And I think that is probably one of the most important takeaways from our conversation today is because, I think that women suffer more from low self-confidence and low self-esteem.
100%.
The person I was before and what I am now, 29 years later, is like a whole journey. And if I look at it, I'll be very honest, I've thought of quitting so many times. And I'm like, why would I even go through this shit for what? For listening to, people's politics and all of that nonsense. But somebody will just come in and will say, oh, but you did this and this change, or you did this and this affected. And it will make me feel maybe I'm just doing something right. And of course, like you, I have my own set of statements that I tell myself. I look at myself in the mirror and I'll go like, okay, Chadari, this is how you have to do. But it's actually very tough being at the top because you don't really know whom you're going to go and talk. Like, I have never been able to tell my parents that I want to quit. I've only had myself to tell that, I want to quit. But then obviously there's the other side will go like, why would I quit? How bad of a person are you to quit just because one thing went wrong? So fine, somebody didn't like you, somebody didn't say things like that, which which I think is very important, and we need to be more accepting of ourselves and liking ourselves more. I think we just demand a lot more of ourselves.
No, I think about 6, 7 years back, I had one of my friends who I was not in touch for about 20 years. And she went through a very bad phase in her life. And she told me this, that unless love yourself, no one can love you.
Yes. True.
So like the example you gave of the arranged marriage also,
Yes.
I mean, I've faced the similar things because I'm also 40 now,
Yeah.
and face similar issues.
Correct.
Wherein there was one very serious again arranged marriage setup. Again, a guy from Dubai,
Ah.
and met him, and my parents were all, oh, wo saras chhe ne, Gujarati family, and very well to do, this, that. I said, fine. I met that guy. I lived all my life in Bombay, worked all my life. What am I going to do in Dubai? Is one question that I asked him. He said, nothing. He said, okay. I said, see, he had his family business into jewelry and all that,
Okay.
and he had his stores and all that. So, and he was only son. I mean, he had sister, but not a part of the business, and he was the only one running the show. So I said, out of my experience that I've had of so many years, I can obviously help you. So it was a clear no. So that put me off.
Correct.
I said it cannot be your way and
Agreed.
highway. It has to
Agreed.
be my way also.
Of course.
So, and I told myself, am I cut out to be this?
Agreed.
So I always tell myself this, even like if when I get a thought, where am I? Why am I doing this? So I tell myself, what am I made for?
Correct.
Am I made to sit home, do nothing?
True.
Yeah, my father, touchwood, with the grace of God, is well off that he can, take care of me for the rest of my life.
Correct.
But am I cut out for that?
Yes.
Do I want to do that?
Of course.
So the question that comes to mind always is that, what do I want to do?
Agreed.
Like you said, easily I quit working, sit home, have kids,
Correct.
and just take care of the house. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to do,
No, not at all.
but some people are cut out for that.
Agreed.
And some people are not like not now, but even when I was in my 30s and I would meet a guy and a guy would ask, do you want to continue working?
Yes.
I would say when my mother was staying in a joint family, had 3 kids, was taking care of her father's business, being the only daughter of their parents, could manage everything. And I think I can manage.
Of course.
So managing the house, managing the business, managing the family,
Is
it's all about prioritizing when to do what.
Yes.
And I think I'm quite good at multitasking.
Of course.
So I think I don't see any reason for not to continue to work.
But no, I completely agree with you what you are saying. And like when I have to work in the house and when you don't have help and all, and my dad goes and he's like, but this is not what I have, raised you for, to stay at home and do the vessels and things like that. It's okay though if the clothes don't get washed one day, it is okay, but you need to be in office. So you need to know when you need to stop working at home. And he tells my mother, "Acha tari ko kaam nahi karti, nahi chale." It's okay.
My father is 2 step different.
Haan.
My father will say, okay, let's do it together.
Oh, that's so nice.
My father, my brother, like during COVID and all, of course, with the grace of God, our help stay with us.
Of course.
So we did not have that issue.
Yes.
But my father, my brother, everyone get in the kitchen. Okay, let one person cook, let one person clean, let one person, let's do it fast and then move out.
Correct.
So
That's
we've had that culture in the house,
Yeah.
wherein it's not that a woman's job is to do this
Agreed.
and a man's job is to do this.
But my nephews, my cousin brothers, the newer generation, all of them take care of the house better
Yeah,
than the wife.
that's the thing, why should it be like anywhere abroad you go, anywhere you go, a man is going to clean the toilet also.
Of course.
So
absolutely.
is it not a woman's job? Yeah.
Misconception. Well, moving away from this, because I know we can keep talking about it, I have to ask you, what are your future plans? Okay, first I had to ask you, the J stands for
Chabanputra.
Jariputra. So everything is because of that. That stands. And what are the future plans?
So as a group, see today we've got three holding companies. So we call it JW Ventures now, and JWC the CFS. Along the CFS, JWC has entered into the transport division as well as the warehousing division also. JWR, like you know, is the largest
Yes.
LCL CFS. Again, JWR has taken a step forward and taken another piece of very large land in JNPT to set up logistic hub.
Okay.
And JWL, of course, is the cold storage. So we are growing pan India. So the point is to create world class facilities in India. See, I can see about 10 years from now, or maybe 5 years from now, all the multinational companies entering to India, especially the brands.
Yes.
I'm not talking about the logistic companies entering. I'm talking about the brands entering
Yes.
into India. If you see in the last 5-8 years, the number of brands that have entered India are tremendous.
Agreed.
Now, a lot of times what happens that a lot of brands come in, but they have a stereotype, what do you say, vision
Yes.
about India. That
Right.
okay, you know, ये तो ऐसे ही चलेगा,
Right.
ये तो ऐसे ही होगा, because
Correct.
their Indian counterparts also show them that picture.
Agreed.
See, it's very important for people like us to break the stereotype about India.
Agreed.
That today India is nowhere less than any other developed country also.
I totally agree.
So the kind of infrastructure, so our main policy, our main principle or our main goal as a group is to create world-class facilities. Today we have customers coming from US, from Europe, from Australia, from Japan, from Dubai, coming and telling us that the facilities that you have created are at par as what they have or even better sometimes than what they have. So that is something that is, you know, like the star on your shoulder.
Of course.
That, you know, you have created something
True.
and broken the stereotype of the image that they have of India.
True.
So our goal is towards that. Secondly, our goal is to, like I said earlier, to target the bottlenecks that customers have as to how do we give them a one-stop solution for all their solutions. So we have, like for example, if we take sector-wise, so we have pharma. So pharma had always been a quite of a interior or an introvert industry wherein everything happens within the factory.
Yeah.
You know, nothing will be outsourced.
Yeah.
So we have broken the stereotype wherein there are so many pharma companies coming to us from not only becoming a mother warehouse, but also doing a labeling activities,
Oh, nice.
doing export activities, handling the import activities,
Oh,
doing
nice.
their bonding activities, doing any repackaging, relabeling,
Okay.
catering to their domestic side, catering to their international side, catering to their ambient side, catering their pharma's, I mean temperature control side. So giving the entire package to a customer
Makes sense.
is making us different, you know,
Yes.
whether it's pharma, whether it's chemicals, whether it's food products, whether it's FMCGs, whether it's electronics, whether it's automobile. So again, for automobile, we went one step ahead. Like in India, they were not doing automobile movement by rail.
Okay.
So this is what we initiated. We had a pilot project with Mahindra and Mahindra,
Okay.
wherein we moved their domestic spare parts
Oh, lovely.
from entire Maharashtra. So we collected cargo from Chakan plant, we collected cargo from Nasik plant, we collected cargo from the Kandivali plant. We brought it together, consolidated in containers, and moved it by rail to the north,
Oh, nice.
wherein we needed in the plant in Haridwar.
Oh,
So
nice.
delivering it till the plant
Oh, nice.
is what we entirely did and are doing for Mahindra, and similarly for other automobile companies also.
Oh, nice.
So, you know, exploring different sectors, exploring as to not only commercially, but also sustainability is a very important aspect. See, today, most of the companies are moving towards sustainability.
Agreed.
How we can, you know, utilize the resources in a better way, how we can conserve energy is something that is the key, because we need to leave something for the future.
True. But do you think we'll ever be sustainable? Because in India, sustainability and us really don't go hand in hand. I mean, we can do all the talking and all the panel discussions and all kinds of papers can be written. But do you think practically it's possible? So for all the ventures that you had, for all the companies that you run, you may want to be sustainable 100%. But do you think you have achieved even 10% or 20% of your sustainability goals.
I think we did achieve more than 30%.
Oh wow, that's massive.
Because see, all our facilities, whether it's in Bombay, whether it's in Delhi, whether it's in Bangalore, Chennai, we are using solar power. So solar is something that we are doing. Second, what we have achieved is rainwater harvesting. So we are in Bombay that we are doing. We are collecting rainwater. We've built such lakes and tanks where we are collecting the rainwater when it's raining because Bombay has lovely monsoon.
Correct.
So we are using that water to recharge the ground.
Oh, nice.
Because see, outside Bombay when you go, most of the facilities are dependent on underground water for their water supply because till now the water supply of the municipal is not so efficient enough. So recharging the ground with that water, then recycling the water. So we do entire back end work for McDonald's.
Okay.
So there's a company called Vista Foods, which is the back end for McDonald's in India,
Okay.
wherein we bring their fresh produce, that is the lettuce, the tomatoes, and the onions from different parts of India where they do contract farming. We bring all that to our facility. Then we have an entire area where we do cutting, chopping, metal detection, vacuum packaging for those vegetables.
Oh wow.
So the water which gets used
Ah.
for this, we recycle it twice.
Oh nice.
So we use this water because it's chlorine water,
Yes.
which is used for
Correct.
cleaning and for sanitization and everything. We recycle this water in the STP plant
Yes.
and we use that water in our toilets.
Oh, that's
And then that water from the toilets also gets recycled again and gets used in the garden.
oh nice.
So we are trying to move towards sustainability in our own way.
Oh.
And
so
I think in India, whether it's a small company or a big company, we should think about, see, 100% is way too far. I think even most developed countries are also not at 100%. So 100% is not even a benchmark that we need to achieve. But every small or big company, if they think about sustainability, I think it's going to make a difference in India
That's very
also.
important. I don't know how many people actually know this side of the stuff that you are doing. Maybe once in a while you should open up this, have field trips, let the people come and do it so that the perception changes and the narrative also changes and you can show them that this is what you are doing. So if there are others who would want to do it, I don't know how many other CFSs are doing what you are doing. So if there is any way that by you showing what you are doing, if we can even change 10% or now, which would be a very commendable thing for the other ports to look into. Having said this, sustainability, it's congratulations. I'm sure it's a group effort and people have to be congratulated because 30% is massive. I have to ask you, how tech driven are you and how important is technology and what are you doing at JWR Ventures to, come if you're already at pace with the latest tech? How do you decide which tech works for you, which does not work for you, and not get obsessed over any particular tech because the rest of the world is talking about it? How do you go about it?
No, AI and tech of course is the future, and we all need to move towards it. If I talk about individual companies, so JWR Cold Storage is completely on tech. It's completely on our WMS system and a ERP system, which we have built over the years. And everything, most of it, I can say JWL is almost 90% on technology because it's more of the warehouse operations that are there, the inward, outward, generating POs, dispatches, everything is done through AI. In fact, we have inventory management system also, which is completely on AI. So yes, we are quite close towards completely being on AI when it comes to cold storage and the warehouses. When we talk about the CFS part and the transportation part, transportation again, we are moving towards technology because of course it's a service industry.
Yes.
So having 100% is not possible because there are a lot of external manpower which is involved into it, a lot of external resources involved into it. But yes, from the GPS system, and now we are starting a new system also for transportation wherein, for the safety of the containers, we're having additional locks which are inbuilt GPS systems.
Okay.
And which are non-tampered locks,
Okay.
electronic locks.
Oh, nice.
So again, it's going to be driven by the software. So even a driver cannot open that lock,
Oh, nice.
it has to be opened by the system.
Oh, lovely.
So we are moving towards this technology also when it comes to
That's nice.
transportation. So we have live locations where irrespective of the vehicle GPS working or not working, this GPS 100% would work. And then of course we talk about the CFS. So CFS, yes, we've developed our own softwares. We are also in the process of soling, trying to change people to get onto the system more than the
Yes.
paperwork.
Correct.
Of course, it's a process and it's like I said, too many people involved.
True.
So we are moving towards it. And
Do you think we will ever have automated? Do you think you'll ever have automated warehouses?
um, I don't think in India is quite close by because of the fact that it has a lot of cost involved.
Yes.
And India is very price sensitive.
Correct.
So any multinational using automated warehouse in any other part of the world, when he comes to India, he doesn't want to invest in it. Because of the cost factor.
Yes.
And plus also that I won't say labor is cheap, but it's
Yes.
of course cheaper than the
Of course. But
automated warehouse.
when you brought technology to all of this, when
Yes.
you means all of you,
Yeah, man.
how receptive were the people to the? So we are talking right from your forklift operators or your laborers going right up to the top. How difficult or how easy was it for them, for you to explain to them that listen, technology is here, we need to use it, and this is how it's going to.
I think that see most of the newer generation that is there is quite positive towards it because already you're using a mobile phone,
Yes.
and we made the technology such that they could use their mobile phone to do things.
Yes.
So it became little easy for them to become savvy with it.
Yes.
Of course, a little senior team took a little more time, but when we had, of course, a training session, then you have to make things mandatory. See, like our government, until government now makes something mandatory, no one's going to do it. So it's a similar way in every organization. You have to make certain things mandatory. You have to push people. But yeah, I mean, there are both sides of it.
Of course, absolutely. I have to ask you this question because, we get discussed a lot or who we are and things like that. I know when people say certain things about me, it may not necessarily be the right things, but that doesn't stop people from talking. One of the things that people, and I want to put this across because it's so important to hear, your version or your take on this is one of the things that people talk about very frequently is Ukruti is very headstrong when it comes to, wanting things. If the aide is asking, I'm sorry, I have to ask you this because it would be incomplete as they will say, oh, we staged the whole thing and this is nothing but, this is everything but stage. So I have to ask you this. They say that you're very headstrong. Once you decide on something, very rarely do you go back. Then the trade will say, oh, but she's not open to suggestions or open to changes. How much of it is the truth? How much of it is perceived notions? And what is the actual reality? Are you and JW Ventures open to suggestions from the trade? Have you listened to the trade and put into implementation, things that the trade would want? And when I talk trade, I'm talking from everybody,
Yes,
not say a
yes.
perspective of a freight forwarder or a customs broker, but from everyone's perspective. So I now want to hear from you because this keeps coming up in conversations, and which I thought was, just fair to hear your side because it's very important. So
No, I think it's more of a perseverance rather than me just being headstrong. I would be happy in a way people call me headstrong. Also, is because I'm very clear at my thoughts. When it comes to suggestions or when it comes to changing things, see one thing that people need to understand that there are always two sides to a coin. And I'm a service provider. I'm not a ice cream seller. Can't please everyone. So when I'm a service provider, I need to balance.
yes,
So something which might be right according to you might not be right according to a agent or a custom officer, or it might not be in commercial terms to what my policies are. So balancing everything, is what is our role, you know. And we've always, you know, whether it's my father, my brother, or myself, we've always been all ears open. I mean, you would have experienced that we are one of the few CFS owners also who actually sit out of the CFS.
Yes.
You know, not every CFS owner is sitting in the CFS. They have their headquarters from where they're sitting, and I'm sure it's very difficult to access them rather than accessing to us. You know?
Yes.
So yes, we are always out there to give it a patient hearing. Then of course we sit with our team as to how much practical or non-practical are the situation or the demands. You know, and basis on that purely is what we decide. So yes, I might be headstrong in certain things, but I have my own reasons to it. That either the custom advisory is such or our company policy is such, you know, which is I think very fair enough, because like I said, what might be right for you might not be right for me, or what is right for me might not be right for you. So yes, we are always open to suggestions. We are always open to advices. We are always open to certain changes, you know, that need to be made. And I think with time we have changed a lot. You know, we have brought in a lot of suggestions. We have brought in a lot of systems. We have brought in a lot of things that are practical but not on paper also. Correct. You know, so everything needs to be managed in a different way. You know, being a clearing agent has a different requirement. Being a consolidator agent has a different requirement. A shipping member different requirement. A custom member or a custom officer has a different requirement. You know, so there are different aspects to it when it comes to any decision making, when it comes to the CFS, of course. So yeah, I mean, we've always been open. In fact, even when it comes to the warehousing side, we have our clients, we have a lot of times recommended things and suggested things, and we've, you know, gone for it and make changes, you know, because see, as a family, we don't have too much of a hierarchy, right? You know, we have business meeting, conference call for it. It is just, to take a decision.
It's, you guys are probably the most approachable people.
Yes.
And that talks volumes in my books, because I've grown up in a culture where Harishma's doors always open. I mean, it's shut, but it's always open. He doesn't stand on formalities, or there are no appointments required for him or things like that.
Of course.
I may tell people I'm not available right now, but Harish Bhai will never say that. So when I see you, when I see Lalit Bhai, you know, when I see Raj, I see that same. Okay, all of us have different set of opinions and we call names too.
Correct.
But the fact is that being approachable and being able to, you know, pick up the phone and dial your number, I think talks volumes, because that is more important. And I can probably name 100 people who don't even give their cell numbers to others, or don't even.
I know so many people who don't even write their mobile number on their visiting card.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
So which talks volume itself, you know, why
Like, it always astounds me when people say, oh, we don't pick up unknown numbers. And I'm like, why will you not pick up unknown number? You're in a bloody service industry. You never know when your next client is going to come. And it's not just something which is in Bombay, but I think it is all over.
It's all over.
Sometimes I think that maybe, you know, I'm the oddball out because the whole world has my number. And but it just is a different thing. Having said that, Nanju, I think this has been an absolute interesting conversation. We are moving to the last part of our segment, or rather the last segment of our conversation, which is the rapid fire round. We should say courtesy, Karan Johar, but unfortunately we don't have those magnificent gifts for you. But we call our rapid fire round the cargo quick word. No thinking, no nothing, just like rapid fire. Okay? And it's supposed to be a lot of fun, so it's not bad. One word to describe India's warehousing sector right now.
Fast moving.
Excellent. Grade A warehouse, location or design?
I think the grade A warehouse.
No. So for a grade A warehouse, what is important? Location or design?
Design.
Design? Interesting that you say that. One trend in logistics that's overhyped.
I think just everyone blindly following any kind of random softwares.
You nailed it on the head. I think Tej is going to have my thing for it, because I truly agree that, you know, you can't just blindly, isne ye le liya to mere ko bhi wo rahiye. You know, you can show off your cars and your houses and your watches and your shoes, but you can't show off your software.
You can't.
One trend that is still underrated.
I think the entire logistic industry underrated because people just think that logistic में भी मतलब transport company है बाकी कुछ नहीं है.
And I hate the fact they say, "Oh, अभी तो तुम लोग vaccines करते हो." I said, "Do you know you guys are alive because of vaccines?
Exactly.
It's not just the vaccines, it's your goddamn food." I said, "Your phones and your laptops come because of." Acha, you know. I said, "No, but you can't just keep saying vaccines, vaccines, vaccines."
Yes, I think the entire logistic industry is underrated.
Absolutely, totally. I mean, you know, COVID did something nice, but
Yes.
it's also very frustrating because they just think about that. They don't
Yeah.
think about anything else
Nothing beyond that.
beyond that. Biggest myth about warehousing.
That it is cheap.
That's spoken like a warehouse. Okay. One word your team would use to describe you.
I think my team now calls me that I'm very easily approachable for anything and everything, and they can easily talk to me rather than talk to Raj and Dad sometimes.
That's nice.
So yeah, now my team really feels that they can easily come to me.
Uh,
But another word can be they're still scared.
I agree. It's still good said nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know. So when they have problems, they come to me because they know that I will back them up
Yeah.
and I will rip them off privately. But still,
Yeah.
Tara ki badla ghamraj. I said it's okay.
It's fine.
Doesn't matter.
It's fine.
One word that defines the future of warehousing in India.
Oh, great opportunities in India. I mean, India is booming.
Yeah.
India is booming, and India's got so much of potential. So much potential.
One thing on your wish list that Kruti Joban, no, one thing about Kruti Joban Putra that the world doesn't know and will come to know today. One thing.
That I have great ideas.
Excellent. I know we haven't spoken about the kids because I think that may require a separate conversation and a podcast.
Yeah.
But genuinely, thank you so much, Kruti. It's
Yes.
been an absolute pleasure to have you here. And to our audience, thank you for staying with us. I hope you haven't switched us off halfway through. You know, we are cracking, right? We know whether you are listening to our podcast and you're watching our podcast or not. But I hope today we've been, you know, the key takeaway for me is your self motivation. So if you can take away one thing from our entire conversation that we've had, is that self motivate yourself. So the next time you want to give up, and all of us want to give up, believe me, think about what you would tell your younger self and look at it from that point of view and tell yourself that and don't give up. It is not easy for any one of us, but we still persevere and we still are consistent at what we do. So please continue doing that and don't forget to clap for yourself because nobody else is going to clap for you first. You have to start clapping for yourself. Have a lovely day and we will see you at our next episode with another fascinating woman again. Thank you.
Yeah,
very much,
thank you,
Kruti.
thank you so much.